Good evening. My name is Don Ficken, and I'm with the Library Telescope Program. It's an international task force. It's been working for several years to promote the Library Telescope Program, not only in the U.S., but across the world. We have 6 countries at least, I think, that are involved with the program in some manner, and we're glad to have you tonight. This is, I think, our 32nd program. And let me just kind of go through a few things. We've got tonight, of course, the Library Telescope Program in schools, and we'll introduce our speaker in just a minute. But this program that we're working on tonight, the Library Telescope Program that we'll be talking about, has been around since 2008, and I think we're above 900 locations, 6 countries. It not only includes telescopes, but binoculars are very popular in the libraries. It's a great way to start. In fact, if you don't have a lot of money, you can start with a binocular program. And frankly, when people are waiting in line for telescopes, binoculars are also a good thing to do. So our goal is to really grow the program. We're all volunteers, by the way. None of us are paid at all. We simply are trying to grow the program and share best practices. So we get together once a month as a group here, and we talk about how to fix things and make things work better, whatever else. We have a very active Facebook page. Tom Lynch is one of our leaders here. He's on with us tonight. I think we've got over 5,000 followers. We've been working for quite a long time to get this thing built up. And it's not just about the Library Telescope Program. He's got all kinds of funnies and astronomy stuff. And you can find, if you love astronomy and space, that's a good place to really visit. We've also worked quite a long time to build a website that has a lot of resources. One is the world map. You can pull up the US, for example, on our world map, and you can click on the state. And for the libraries that we know about, it will list those libraries. You can go to Canada, and you can get the province. You can go to Europe and other places, and to the extent that we know about them, and you can certainly register your library if it's not on there. If you can go to our website. And then we also have lots of resources, things like sky maps and how to start the program, and 3D printing files if you have to fix something with a library telescope. So we've been working for quite a long time to make this a fairly robust system. I mentioned sky maps. We work with the Astronomical League. They do a great job. These are free sky maps. They're in both English, Spanish, and there's usually some cool stuff like a moon or Venus or whatever else you can see for the month. And you can download these for free right off the homepage of the Library Telescope Program. We've already got, I think, the August maps out there. And so we put those out there just a couple of days ago. So again, some of these are in English and Spanish both. But I think you'll find it's a really great way just to find some things to look at in the sky at night. Those are, I believe, are posted not only on our Library Telescope website, but also on our Facebook page. So this is an example of this year's programs. We cover lots of topics. Last month, it was Greek stories in the skies. The month before that, we talked about the 2023 and 2024 solar eclipses, observe the moon night, how to partner with the library to launch a program. So if you go to our YouTube, which is down the bottom right here, I just go to librarytelescope.org and go up to the social media part and just click on the YouTube, and you'll find all these libraries. So this month it's about Library Telescope programs in schools. Next month we'll be talking about fall constellations for binoculars and small telescopes. Really great way to go. So we will be taking questions. Michael's going to be presenting in just a minute. He's the superintendent of the Iowa Grant School District, Wisconsin. He was just telling me I'm almost like jealous the kind of situation he's in. He's got a wonderful rural district. He's been promoting this Library Telescope program, and I think it's a really interesting topic to really talk about. And so he'll be talking about the Library Telescope program in schools. And we will be taking questions, but we ask you to post them on Facebook in the comments area. And for those of you on Zoom here, we do have a few of our task force members on Zoom. You can post those in the chat area, and we'll try to get all those in the end. And with that, I'm going to stop talking and get over to the real guy that we really want to hear from, and that's Mr. Michael Shimshak. So Michael, if you want to go ahead and share, and we'll turn it over to you.
Okay, I should be unmuted.
Yeah, and you need to go ahead and do the full screen slide if you're going to do that.
Yeah, I'm working on that.
Okay.
Okay, we should be good to go.
All
right.
Thanks. Very good.
Thanks for inviting me to be here. Can everyone hear all right? Sound quality is okay? As you said, I'm Michael Shimshak. I'm the superintendent of the Iowa Grant School District. We serve about 7 towns and villages in the counties of Iowa and Grant in southwestern Wisconsin. I hope to just give a brief presentation of how I got into astronomy and launching this library telescope in our schools. If you'll indulge me for a minute, I'll start with how I got into astronomy. As a kid, I've always been a teacher, and anytime I learned anything, I just had to share it with somebody, even if it was my two little sisters. And we had dark skies when I grew up, and one night, and we had independence. I could ride my bike all over the city as 5 years old. And so one night I was out quite late, and I saw for the first time the Northern Lights. And I had just never seen anything like that. I had already known about Orion and the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper, but I never saw the sky light up like that. And I was hooked. So unfortunately, it was my elder brother that got the telescope for Christmas. And it was mid-February when we first got it out to look at the moon, and we were independent. We were going to make some adjustments on the scope. And of course, we didn't have our own screwdrivers, so we went to the kitchen and got a butter knife to turn the various screws and knobs. And I needed my hands free and picked up that butter knife and put it in my mouth and learned the lesson of the tongue on the pump handle. And but it didn't impede my interest in astronomy. I got to high school and joined the science club just so I could get the keys to the planetarium. Our high school had a planetarium, and I had a friend who was talking about grinding lenses, and I thought, what a thing it would be to build my own telescope. And I dreamed about it and started the project. And finally, 30 years later, it's come to fruition. So this was my real introduction to astronomy, having my own telescope. And I needed a couple of eyepieces. And rather than buy them, I found out I could get a whole used, a cheap telescope just for the eyepieces. So that's what I did. And I was looking at the internet, and it said 7 mistakes beginner astronomers make, and one is not joining an astronomy club. So I joined the club and got a lot of exposure to other amateur astronomers, and that's kind of what led me into doing the library telescope. I retired a few times and got a job in the Iowa Grant School District. You can see it on the map there in southwestern Wisconsin. We're a public school.
Hey, Michael.
Yeah.
Your voice is kind of cutting in and out. I'm not real sure if there's a distance coming on your microphone, but we can hear you basically all the time, but it gets very distant for just a short time. So I'm not sure if there's a difference in your distance of the voice from the mic or whatever else, but.
Okay, I'll try to fix that by looking straight ahead at all times. Does that help?
Yeah, well, at least so far it's good. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, we're a public school. We're pre-K through 12. We have great kids, high achieving, very supportive parents. We're in an agricultural community, and so we offer our kids just about anything imaginable. Our kids are volunteers in the community, success in athletics, and this is our graduating class from last year, earned $250,000 in scholarships. It's just great support for education here. But the one thing we didn't have was an astronomy club. And so when I learned that our 5th grade teacher was doing a unit on the planets, and every kid had to do a little report on the planets, I got inspired to organize a star party. By this time, I had 3 telescopes, a couple of Dobsonians, an 8 to 12, or 8 and a 10, and that cheap one I bought. So we organized a star party and turned off all the parking lot lights, and the kids and their parents came as a family night. And we were able to see Jupiter, and this is not a picture we took that night, but they saw Saturn, and they could see the rings of Saturn. The kids had never seen this before. It was just amazing to see the interest, and the parents too. I said, I'm starting an astronomy club, and the parents said, can we be in it? And so our astronomy club is actually a family astronomy club, and the moon was first quarter that night, so it was a perfect night. We really got some nice viewing in. So that led us to do the library telescope program. I got on the task force, joined the effort, and I have to say that all the resources that we need are on the website. I really got to plug the website. Everything we need is on there. And these next few slides are actually from the presentation I made as we launched our program on April 27th in conjunction with Astronomy Day, International Astronomy Day. And so as I introduced our program, we highlight our district mission, which points out striving for lifelong learning. And that's how we framed this, that this is going to be something the kids can take with them beyond the school doors. I tried to put a little history into the program. And so I'm really intrigued by what was going on in the 1500s and 1600s in the Netherlands, and the work that Van der Kuken was doing with lenses, and other people had developed microscopes, but there was so much aberration that he went to a design. It was basically a glorified magnifying glass, but his magnification was 50 to 500 times, and was able to see the protozoa in water, among other things that he presented at the Royal Academy of Sciences. And I think this is an interesting time in history. We have the Florentine Camerata going on with Galileo's father, a member of the group. And at the same time, the Dutch were learning about applying math to art with the development of perspective. And I'll go back a slide here. This is actually a portrait of, they believe, is Van der Kuken. And I linked up Copernicus. His work was published when Galileo, this is Galileo's telescope actually, from the museum. And, Copernicus, his work had finally gotten published, and Galileo was able to access it. And then Newton comes along and thinks that the reflector might be a better design. And so I show them this is the Newtonian telescope. This is actually an extant telescope in a museum, and contrast that with the telescope we have in our library. I think it's amazing how similar they actually are. So this is what we're going to be putting into the hands of our families to do night observing. Again, I think that this website is just fantastic for all the resources that we needed to do the scope. Before we started our conversation tonight, I was doing some chatting, and I think it's important I mention that I'm in Wisconsin, and we have a unique thing in Wisconsin. I'm not sure about other states, but when our Constitution is adopted, in the Constitution, the state set aside 1.5 million acres for the purposes of schools, public schools. And what happened is the Department of Education sold off most of the land and put the money into an endowment. And so now there's an annual budget from the Common School Fund, it's called, that's dedicated just for the school libraries. And that's where we get our funding for this program. The librarian was so cooperative. She didn't have enough ways to spend her money. And so it was really a godsend. We didn't have to struggle with a budget like we actually are struggling with our budget in other areas. So that Common School, if you're in Wisconsin, that's the place to go for funding for the program. So we got the Zoomel telescope. There was some problems with availability, I think, when we ordered. We said, what the heck, we'll just get this one instead of the one of the ones that's recommended on the website. And this borrower's agreement, our librarian honed this to meet our district's needs, but this is right off of the website. And I want to highlight how many times you'll see never look at the sun. You know, we're in a school, and we really, if there was one theme from my presentation to our parents and families, is that this is can be a really dangerous thing if you're not monitoring it, and you just cannot take it out during the daytime and look at the sun. It's you can't react quick enough to save your eyes. So we drove that home over and over again, and we put, this is the emblem from the Library Telescope website, and we put it on our scopes too. We also got 4 pair of binoculars as specified, and it turns out that the Vortex brand is actually manufactured in Barneveld, Wisconsin, which is just down the road from us, and the Apache cases, and packed them with the night sky, the bird watching, and the little booklet about how to use the equipment, and explain to the families that, you know, hunting's a big thing for our families, and the binoculars work during the daytime too. So we're really looking forward to those being checked out. We, because we're a school library, I think that we're going to get away with not making all of the modifications that are on a public school library telescope. We have more opportunity for direct education with our parents and students. And actually the scopes are checked out through their parents. And so we're small enough in the district and personal enough that everybody knows everybody. And so we can spend some time showing people how to use it. And so instead of modifying the mirror adjustments on the scope, we just got these, they're called lead quick caps for covering up a pipe. And you can see there's a steel pipe clamp on or a steel band clamp on it. We didn't need to put that on. It just fit on there so snugly. And I went and checked the library today. The rubber loosens up after time. So I think we'll put a real big zip tie on it instead of having that metal band. It changes the balance of the scope a little bit. You have to make some adjustments in storing it, but this seems to be a really simple setup for us. We taught the kids how to use the red dot finder, and you know, we gave them a lesson about the battery. So we'll see how that goes. We may have to go to a different finder, but I'm a believer that if you trust the kids and teach them how to do it, that they'll take it in. And so the night of our launching the program, the day before, during that day, I took the kids outside and we sighted in the finder, looking at some silos across the fields, and they were just great to work with. You can see how engaged they are. And then if they get the telescope home and it's out of whack, they know what to do. So we'll see how that works. We gave a little demonstration about how all the components of the scope. This is our school calendar. I just wanted to point out October 21st. This is a screenshot of our school calendar. I snuck that on there. We met with the teachers to develop this calendar, and we went through all kinds of channels. And nobody asked me what IOMN was until the school secretary was formatting this. She said, "What is that?" And I said, "Well, that's International Observe the Moon Night. And we will be observing the moon. It won't look like this that night because this is through by Dobsonian with a cell phone, actually. The first quarter, I think, on International Observe the Moon Night. But we'll have our scopes out. So I think we just launched in April. School was almost over, and we haven't had any families check the scopes out yet. And so I'm seeing that we're going to, I think, need some more direct placement of the scopes with the families. And so my plan is this autumn, first of all, I've got outreach to the 4-H leaders. They're really game right now. The fair is coming up, and so they're saying after the fair, we'll come to their meetings and have a star party. And every football game that's home, you know, if the skies are clear, we'll have a star party after the game. And we have 3 of these tabletop scopes, and plus I have 2 Dobsonians, and the 4 binoculars. When we launched our program, the kids were lined up all the way in front of school and the families. The moon was out that night. First quarter, it was perfect. And it's so rewarding to see their mouths open and the joy when they say, I never saw anything like that before. So I'm open for questions if there are any.
So Michael, why don't you unshare your screen here so that we can just chat with you just a little bit, if that's okay.
Okay. Yeah, stop share. There we go.
There you go. Well, that's first off, thanks a lot. That's really fascinating. I'm kind of curious, you're familiar with the basic library program, right? How the checkout program. So how does this compare? What are the difference between what you do with a school versus what a library might do with a public program, do you think?
I think that the main difference is that we know, you know, our patrons, our families, and our students. So we really have a personal relationship with them already, and we're in an educational setting. And so, besides the librarian, we have science teachers at every grade that can do more one-on-one instruction with the students, and we can also do, I think, more direct demonstration of the telescope in a live setting. You know, we're hosting the star parties to encourage the families to take them out. So I think that the resource is just a little different. We're both libraries, but I couldn't imagine a public library having the direct contact that we have as a school. So I would say that's the main difference. And then I don't think this is universal across the country, but that common school funding for Wisconsin is a huge asset. And, you know, based on our conversation before the webinar this evening, it's incumbent on me, I think, to go to the school board's convention with a presentation on here's a way that you can use your common school funds and really get an astronomy club going in your school and get some hands-on science happening.
So we have one question here. What is the format of the Family Astronomy Club meeting? Is it mainly observing, or does it include astronomy content?
We haven't had our inaugural meeting yet. We're still filing the paperwork. So in the fall, we'll have our first astronomy club meeting. It will be, I think, typical of an astronomy club meeting where there's a night sky report, what to look for in the night sky, and then a viewing report from anybody that's been doing observing, and then an educational component. And I think another key difference is usually in the astronomy club, some of the educational program is one of your club members who's got some special interest, perhaps in solar filters or some other kind of interest or some experience that they had. I'm hoping that we can have it be more like an academy where our students are charged with doing the educational program. So they present it to their peers and like a project-based learning, and they also will learn from it. So that's the intended format for our meeting.
So I know that I'm actually a Scout astronomy merit badge counselor for the astronomy. So I'm kind of curious, do you have scouts in schools that might have this as one of the things they need to tick off as far as using the telescopes and things? Have you tried to weave that in anywhere into the programming?
Yes, we have. Yep, I'm in contact with the scout leader, and we're working with the scout leader in Montfort is one of our towns. That's where the big scout program is. So yeah, and 4-H is a strong competitor with scouting. 4-H is a bigger draw. We have several 4-H clubs and one scout club. But yeah, we're reaching out to the youth clubs.
Wow. So if you have some questions, post them on Zoom or Facebook. I've seen one so far. So what about the science teachers? You have teachers that are into the science thing, and are they buying into this? Or are they not sure about this quite yet?
Let let me answer it this way. Before I became a school administrator, I was a music teacher. And so when I got to be a school administrator, I really support music. I just can't help it, and have promoted all kinds of ideas. And guess who's not that interested? The music teachers. And so it's actually one of our math teachers who is more interested in the astronomy club than the science teachers themselves. Maybe they have just enough to do already, but it's the teachers that aren't teaching science that are more interested in supporting the club. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I could see that. I guess it's like the carpenter's got the worst house, you know, because he doesn't want to come and work on carpenter work all night after doing it all day kind of thing. So yeah. So have you managed to at least what I've been having a lot of fun with, and it's almost getting a little bit carried away, quite truthfully, is kids, they love technology, right? They love their phones, their Androids, their iPhones, or whatever else they have, and they love to put their phone up to the eyepiece and take a picture of the moon. I mean, it is like the thing when they go home and they could take a picture of this moon. That is so much fun. Have you tried that kind of thing yet? To connect technology to the library telescope, I mean, there's some really amazing moonshots you can get. It's not hard to do either.
Yeah, I know. I have one of those adapters for my telescope. I haven't tried it with the kids. I agree 100%. That's what's going to happen. In fact, I've been thinking about getting one of those electronic telescopes that does the tracking. I can't remember the brand, but there's a couple out there.
There's several.
And in addition to what we have, because the kids can all have an iPad, and it will beam what it's seeing to those iPads. So it's a way to have 5 or 6 kids looking at the same thing that the electronic telescope is seeing at the same time, and it takes care of the lineup for people wanting to get in to see what's on the eyepiece.
Yeah, we've done that before. You don't even have to have a tracking telescope, but what I find is that the moon, Saturn, and Jupiter are pretty popular. And so by simply sticking a camera into the eyepiece, you can use a little nose pad, and then you can hook that to a screen, and you can project that really nicely.
Ah, okay.
And so by going into even just the truth is putting your phone up to the eyepiece, you can get an amazing, because you can actually use the phone's zoom lens to pinch in. You can get a very big blown up picture of the moon, and they are giddy about this. I mean, you can get down and see the craters really well, and that's something that really makes them excited to share on social media and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll try that then.
Yeah. So I got a question here. Is there a local astronomy society who supports you? And this is a person from Delaware that's interested in this.
We do have 2 clubs in Iowa County, 2 clubs in the area. One's in Iowa County, and I reached out to them, but meetings don't always line up with when I'm available. So I can't do their meetings because it's the night of our school board meeting. And there's another one in the state park, Wild Loosing State Park along the Mississippi River, has a club, and they actually have an observatory. And I'm on their mailing list, but we're not getting any direct support from them. It's more I'm doing outreach to them to try to make connections. So the support I've gotten as far as how to do things with an astronomy club is actually from the club I joined in Southern Illinois when I was living, before I decided I can't stand retirement anymore. So the Southern Illinois Astronomical Society, I think they are. I think Rue was the contact for the library telescope, and so that was an influence.
Oh, that's good. That's great. Yeah, I think the other trick that I've used is kids as teachers. They love to be put in a position where they're teaching their parents how to do something. They actually they're pretty darn good at it. I mean, it's almost embarrassing how good and how fast they pick up on this stuff. And then they show them, Mom, that's really easy. Let me show you how it works. And pretty soon they're showing everybody how it works. So that's great.
Yeah, it's actually nice too when they, if you get something in view and they go to look at it and bump the telescope, you know, at first they're all upset, and no, I'm not going to find it. You can use the finder and you can find it, and then the joy is even higher, you know.
Oh yeah,
they found it.
So do we have any questions? Tom, do you have any questions at all from your point of view? Do you have anything you want to add in? I'm doing all the chatting here, Michael and I.
Yeah, I haven't had anything come through on Facebook, so I haven't seen any of that, but I do have a few questions on myself. Maybe advice in approaching a school. How would you go about that? I mean, Don mentioned science teachers, which is kind of what I was thinking. Hit them up a little bit and see if they get interested. Or is it better to go through the administration and try and probably not every superintendent is into this as you are, clearly. So maybe that's not the place to go. But what would you recommend if you were trying to reach out to schools?
If I weren't in administration and I was from out court, just in the community in the district, I would try to work it through a star party. I would ask if the school would be interested in hosting a star party on their property. It would be great. I think that 5th grade is the perfect age for the kids that they just latch onto it at that grade, and that would be your target audience. But invite families, and if you could have a star party in conjunction with some event where they're already there. After the concert, there's a star party, and people haven't really heard about that if they're not into astronomy. It's the first look through the telescope that hooks them, and then after I've got that hook planted, then I'd yank the line and say, there's a program. We could get a telescope in your school. It could be just like checking out a book, and that would be my approach. Just one idea.
Sounds good.
So we have a comment here from our Zoom audience that they're impressed that you're giving historical context to the telescopes, and thank you for that, Michael. 2023 is the 300th anniversary of Antony van Leeuwenhoek's death. I guess I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It says our book club is reading Eye of the Beholder by Laura Snyder. She's joined us for October 26th Zoom, and she's asking if you'd like to join. So you can work with them offline. I think she's one of our task force members. So
oh, that's great.
Yeah. Okay, great. Is there anything else that we want to cover here? We're actually just a little bit past our time, but Michael, I'm really looking forward to hear this progress, because you could be the pilot, this new arm of the library telescope program. And I think it's got such potential in what you're really trying to do. We really applaud your effort to do this.
Well, thank you very much. I hope for it to really expand. It's really a great thing, and then we get them into looking at promoting dark skies too.
That's right. All right, we're going to wrap up, and thanks for everybody for joining us. And please feel free to join us next month. I think it's August, 16th, I believe. And we're going to talk about things you can look at, like constellations and objects using small telescopes and binoculars. So thank you once again, Michael, and thanks for Tom for helping out. This has been recorded, and I'll be posting this to our Library Telescope YouTube page in a day or so. So thanks a lot, and thanks everybody for joining.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Right.